and again. Sue writes about a wood carver who creates a bell stand so astounding that people call it the work of the spirits. And people say, they ask the carver, king, what is your secret? And he replies that he removes all distractions and safeguarded his spirit. And at the end of the poem, he says, what happened? My own collected thought encountered the hidden potential in the wood. From this live encounter came the work which you ascribe to the spirits. My own collected thought encountered the hidden potential in the wood. From this live encounter came the work which you ascribe to the spirits. I think this is a very Jewish idea. In our tradition, God created the world, but in an incomplete way, challenging us to be partners in continuing creation. Consider our prayer for bread, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We praise God for bringing forth bread, lechem, from the earth, min haaretz. So if I were with the preschoolers, I would say, okay, so you go out to the field and you take the bread straight from the ground, right? And they would go, no. So I'm guessing most of you know that the bread doesn't, I think Ruth knows that the bread doesn't just come straight from the ground. But in the blessing, we say, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We say, God, you're blessed for bringing forth the bread from the earth. In this blessing, we acknowledge the role that God plays, everything, all the processes before and beyond us, the seasons, the rains, the sun, the existence of plants and animals and fungi and dirt and us humans. But this blessing also invites us to consider the incompleteness of this holy work, the potential that the divine, the universe, leaves us to actualize. Harvesting the grain, grinding the flour, adding water and salt and yeast, and baking the dough into bread. Carving a bell stand, baking bread, these are two examples of ways we can bring our innate creative potential into the world. And there are so many more. We create jokes, art, new life, programs, solutions, sometimes. Like the woodcarver, our spiritual creation depends less on our technical skill and more on our ability to be present and attentive, to see the potential in the world and be a partner to the divine in continuing creation. We sometimes describe creativity as a personality trait, but it is much deeper. To create is to form, to bring ourselves, our hearts, our souls, our wisdom, our children, our energy, our love into the world. We are each created beings, and we each have the capacity to be creative beings. Julia Cameron, author of The Artist's Way, puts it this way: creativity is God's gift to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to God. When we create music, art, poetry, ideas, life, we offer a piece of ourselves into the world, to the divine. It is not an act of self-indulgence or arrogance to create. It is a gift. This week's Torah portion, Parashat Tetzaveh, offers some insight into human creativity. These chapters of Exodus describe the materials and methods for creating the clothes and adornments of the Israelite priests. In Exodus 28:3, God calls for the creatively skilled to come forward to fashion these priestly vestments. We read, Va'ata tidaber, and you shall instruct, et kol chochmei lev, all who are skillful, asher miletev ruach chochma, who are endowed with the gift of skill, va'asu et bigdei Aharon, to create the garments for Aaron, lekadsho lechahano li, for consecrating him to serve me as a priest. In this common English translation, God requests those with skill. But the Hebrew chochmei lev literally means wise of heart. The individual and communal wisdom of these artisans is essential to their whole being. Like the woodcarver, they are able to see the divine hidden potential in the world and make something beautiful and holy from it. And these crafts people did not develop their skills independently. They were endowed by God with chokhmat lev, wisdom of the heart. As we read, they are miletev ruach chokhmah. The divine has filled them with the spirit of wisdom. Our gifts come from something beyond us, something sacred. The divine fills us with chokhmat lev and then calls us to bring that chokhmat lev into the world. It is on us then to heed that call. So if we were to enter the world of Exodus, some of us might sew the priest's clothes, others might offer gold to build the tabernacle, others might be leaders in the community. Today, we offer gifts of curiosity, food, hospitality, storytelling, deep listening. The list goes on and on and on. I know many of you are part of the, for the fundraising, what do you call it? The different programs that everybody is doing. There's just so many, count me in. There's so many gifts that we offer in this community. So our rabbis teach us that every single person has a gift to offer. They actually say that someone born under Mars has this tendency to shed blood. But even that person can offer that gift to God by becoming a kosher butcher. So each of us has something to contribute to the creative project of creating sacred community. In Exodus, God calls upon those with divine gifts to use those gifts to create a holy communal object. Today, we open our ears to God's call. What chokhmat lev has God endowed in each of us? How might we use our divine gifts to create holiness in our world? The call is there. Create, give, share your light and love and gifts with the world. But often we are too embittered, too self-doubting, too stuck to hear. Our inner critic, a distorted reflection of the outside world, tells us, "You are not enough. Who are you to write or build or paint or lead? The world is full enough of everyone else. There's nothing for you to add." These voices can be especially loud for those of us who are marginalized, too young or too old, women, trans or non-binary, disabled, people of color. When we experience the world as inhospitable, it can be difficult to find the courage to step into our light. But when we return to Torah, turn it and turn it again, as Rabbi Ben Bagbag would say, we illuminate the voices of Torah, telling us that we are gifts, and dim the inner critic who says we are not enough. Even Moses, when God tells him to be a leader to the people, says, "Who am I to be the leader? I have a speech impediment." And God says, "Who do you think gave you the speech impediment?" Our Torah portion is mostly about the priestly clothes, but it begins with the commandment to kindle the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, in the Holy Tabernacle. We can see this light as symbolic of God's light within each of us. We each have a sacred calling, task to bring our healing light into the world and inspire others to do the same. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks illustrates this beautifully in To Heal a Fractured World. He says, "There is no life without a task, no person without a talent, no place without a fragment of God's light waiting to be discovered and redeemed, no situation without its possibility of sanctification, no moment without its call." He says, it may take a lifetime to learn how to find these things, but once we learn, we realize in retrospect that all it ever took was the ability to listen. God whispers our name, and the greatest reply, the reply of Abraham, is simply, "Hineni," here I am, ready to heed your call, to mend a fragment of your all too broken world. We all have gifts to offer the world and the opportunity to say, "Hineni, here I am." So let all who are endowed with wisdom of the heart, chokhmat lev, come forward, heed that call, create holiness. And yes, that includes you.